So I spent 400 days in Hardcore Skyblock. In the first 300 days, we spent time progressing and getting as far into this world as we could with the resources we had. And honestly, I never thought I would make this video, because as I stated in 300 days, there is simply nothing left to do. However, this video was so highly requested by all of you that I decided to give it a shot, and attempt to survive another 100 days on this world. So, sit back and relax, grab some snacks and hit that subscribe button, while I tell you how I survived 400 days in Hardcore Skyblock. Let's do it. Logging back onto this world for the first time in months, I actually felt excited to be back. Even though we had beat the game long ago, there were still projects I could attempt and things to do. The first thing I did was visiting my villagers and animals, who were shocked to see me back. I honestly can't tell if they were happy to see me or not. Returning to my task wall, it was time to repopulate it. I added several new tasks and chores, and decided to get to work right away. There were some things about my island that still bothered me, like random waterfalls underneath, a broken wheat farm, and just some general maintenance. So, for the first week, I did just that, fixing up my island. After doing that, I began to work with the new dripstone blocks. So many of you guys commented on my last 100 days video, telling me to make an infinite lava source using dripstone. I had acquired said dripstone from a wandering trader, and having multiple lava sources would help me in more ways than one. So, I attempted to create it. While waiting for it to work, several things happened that weren't supposed to. Hardcore. Can't be dumb. Well. I didn't know. I didn't know that trident. I forgot it was a channeling trident, not a riptide one. Oh my god, I just did that. Soon, a wandering trader arrived and traded some drip leaves with me, which I would use later on. As I went to bed, I noticed that my house had become occupied. No. Move. Yeah, there he goes. At the time I didn't realize it, but I had set up the lava farm incorrectly. So while waiting for the lava farm to actually work, I got rid of the water net. This thing had saved my life at least once, but it was time to get rid of it now that I had the elytra. Near the end of the week, I headed into the nether to test out the gold farm once again. It still worked like a charm, but I knew that the gold farm wouldn't be the only farm I attempt to make in this hellish dimension. Put emphasis on attempt, please. Now that I was back into the swing of things, I began preparing for a new project, the Shulkercraft Creeper/Spider Farm. From day 307 to 313, I gathered the resources I would need to create this monstrosity, and I decided that I would put it below my island, so that sunlight was already blocked from above. After gathering the materials, I began construction. Once the farm was done, the rates were absolutely crazy. Skyblock is the best type of world to test mob farms on, because there's literally no other land for mobs to spawn on. Oh, and apparently I almost died. Oh god. Oh god, that was not smart. That was not smart at all. I almost died from that. Thank god it was raining out. I probably would have died if it wasn't. I guess by this time I managed to finally duplicate my lava. Which... lava? It was lava, potato, which was great because the lava... lava aqueducts were really ugly, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. I wanted to replace them. One thing I wanted to do on this world for a long time was make a city. Not just the little town where my villagers currently lived, but a full-on city with skyscrapers and whatnot. I knew this project would most likely take the most time out of any, and I wanted to make sure I had enough materials to complete it on the first run. Over the next 8 days, I prepared for this massive build. On day 325, I laid out the foundations of the city, making sure to follow the circle theme of my island in the process. This city wouldn't have a lot of area to build in, so I knew I had to make up for that fact with height. And so, the construction of the city began. I used black stone and wool to make a road that met in the middle, And in each quadrant, minus the one closest to my main island, because I was occupied by villagers, I set up the layouts of the buildings. Then, I began to build them. My goal was not to have insane detail. My goal was to match the atmosphere of a real city with tall buildings. Each building would be built out of blocks I had an abundance of. On day 332, I had finished 3 out of the 9 buildings, and right away I knew they were too small. I knew the next buildings I made would have to be much taller. For the next 8 days again, I continued working on the city. The block I had the most of in this world by far was iron, due to my iron golem farm running non-stop for over 100 real-life hours at this point. So I decided to plonk a skyscraper made of iron blocks right in the middle of it all. When it was done, I added a spike to the top of the building to make it look even more like a skyscraper. And at the very top, I placed a lightning rod made from copper ingots the drowned farm had provided. Finally, on day 340, all of the buildings were done, along with the cobblestone wall around the city. Personally, I think it looks really good. All that was left to do is move the villagers. After I fixed up the road, it was time to move the villagers, which turned out to be pretty easy actually. As long as you know a little bit about how villagers behave, it's really easy to make them go anywhere you want. All I did was break all their beds and workstations and move them into the new buildings. And after breaking down the wall that separated my old village to the new city, the villagers all slowly began spreading out over the city. It was an incredible sight, and soon enough, they had all moved into their new homes. The greatest part was that they didn't stay inside their homes. They actually did what I wanted them to do and wandered the streets, going about life like an actual city. Next thing I did was destroy the old town minus the farm. I wanted the 4th quadrant of my city to be for farms and livestock, and I gotta say, after it was torn down, the city looked really good. Bruh? Huh? This guy must be natural. He must have just spawned up here himself. Afterwards, I added street lights to make sure mobs wouldn't spawn at night. And finally, I finished off the city and did a flyby cinematic shot of it. Oh my god. Well, I think it's safe to say, also I made these streetlights. I think it's safe to say the city's done. And to finish it off, I took a look at the city with shaders. Oh my god! Jeez, man. Now, these next few days are embarrassingly unproductive. I had an idea before I even started recording this session to make a wither skeleton farm. I'll summarize my plan really quickly and then explain what went wrong. So, my idea was to make a wither skeleton farm in the nether, but I didn't want to do it in an actual nether fortress. I wanted to use the void. My plan was simple, and looking back, I have no idea why it didn't work. Maybe somebody can explain it who's good at Minecraft after I'm done explaining what happened. Maybe, I don't know. Please comment. My plan was to find out where a nether fortress should have been, giving Skyblock's world seed. I would get on a very early version of Minecraft, enter the seed, and load up the world. This world would be how Skyblock used to look before the creator cut out all the terrain. If you're confused, maybe go watch 200 Days, because I explained a lot more about how Skyblock was made in that video. Once I loaded the world, I would hop into the nether and find the fortress. My plan was to take the coordinates of this fortress and travel there myself on my world. Build a platform and get fortress mobs to spawn without having to do any sort of terraforming. Basically, I wanted to make a wither farm without searching for a perfect fortress. The reason I thought this should work was because where fortresses are placed depends on the world seed. So, if that fortress used to be there when the creator made the world, I should have just been able to quote-unquote rebuild it where it used to be. Sadly, this didn't work, and I spent ages setting up a massive spawning platform in the nether for nothing. I also confirmed it with a mod that no nether fortresses existed in my nether, besides in the actual chunks. If any of you are Minecraft gods and know about this, why didn't this work? The only thing I can think of is that the creator enabled no structures, but that would mean no fortresses would generate at all, and of course, they did. I don't know. It was just a big fail, basically. Moving on to a more redeeming project, one of my goals was to get an emerald beacon. I had several dozens of villagers wandering about the city, so it was definitely achievable. However, this was my first time even attempting to get an emerald beacon before. Ever. In any scenario besides creative, of course. I knew strategies to get it quickly enough, though. So I got to work. the first thing I did was expand my trading hall to reach over to the new city, right underneath the street, so I could easily capture new villagers at night. In this new hall, I had a zombie and a witch. Villagers give better trades if they're cured, so my plan was to capture quite a few of them, infect them with my zombie, cure them using my witch and golden apples, and then repeat that process over again. The second thing I did was capture villagers. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on YouTube, but I basically kidnapped kids and used them as mandatory workers. After they grew up, I let my zombie free and watched the carnage from afar. I repeated this one more time because the more you do it, the better the deals are. I made them all become fletchers and stonecutters. These villagers have some of the easiest trades, especially for a Skyblock player. Smooth stone, along with sticks, were my two major trades, until I discovered something I had just straight up not known before. Fletchers traded string for emeralds too. And guess who had, like, infinite string? Yeah, this guy. This task brought me to revamping my stone generator so that I was much better at always creating stone, because before, it would sometimes create cobble. This meant that getting my first emerald beacon took barely any time at all. Like, it was laughable. Within 1 hour of real life, I had gone from 27 emeralds to an entire beacon. It was kind of nuts. But of course, I needed the actual beacon. Since my nether farm idea was a complete disaster, I had to do it the old-fashioned way, by going out to an actual fortress and farming skulls. Fortunately, it didn't take too long.
I just wanted to
After gathering soul sand from my piglin bartering farm, I headed out to the Skyblock border to fight this wither. I was expecting to have a plain old fight, but I wasn't expecting company. Whoa! Whoa! What is going on out here? What? Huh? Gathering my balls and my wits, I spawned in this menacing foe once again. And unlike the first fight where I had to flee, I had enough arrows this time. It's over! After defeating it, I claimed my prize and placed my emerald beacon on top of the iron skyscraper, which made the city look even more insane, especially at night. Next up, I wanted to become 100% netherite. So, using wool from my sheep farm and wood from, well, trees, I headed back out to my netherite mine, where I had initially branch mined for it. Now, it was time to light the place up. Once I got back home, I completed my goal. Aha! Alright, here we go, people. Make sure I'm recording. Yep, here we go. The axe, the sword, the other pick, the first pick, nope, the shovel, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Sweet. Now, I'll be honest, I had no idea what to do past this point. I decided to expand my storage room by making a cool room underneath my house, which could be accessed using water streams or a ladder next to my beds. I don't have much to say about this, I'll be honest, I never even used it. After lots of thought, I figured out what to do, finally. A slime farm. Way back when I was failing to create a wither skull farm, the mod to locate fortresses didn't just show fortress locations, it also showed slime chunks. And one of them was very close to where my island was. So I took the coordinates and saved them for later. Now, I have no real use of a slime farm in general, but having one on my island boosted my prestige. It also was very convenient to build, because I wouldn't have to dig out anything. It was actually quite fun to build too, and even dangerous at times, since regular mobs kept spawning on the layers before I could light them up, along with the slimes themselves, who can spawn in broad daylight and don't take fall damage. After completing it, I made a chest system only accessible via elytra, and watched. Very soon, I had more slime than I knew what to do with. For the next 10 days, it was just general maintenance and gold farming. My nether portal had been in the same spot for a while now, and it needed to be moved. So I finally moved it to a new location, making it very tall and designing it. After that, I farmed gold, hoping for one last idea to come to my mind, and thankfully, it did. For the last 4 days, I built a beautiful park behind my house, using up the last of my dirt and time. Now, this little park wasn't just for looks, okay? It served a purpose. 2, actually. And I'll quickly explain them. In Minecraft, if you grow a tree close enough to a flower, it has a very small chance to spawn with a beehive. The only animals that had managed to spawn on my island thus far were sheeps, pigs, and chickens. No cows or llamas or anything like that. And I wanted new animals on my island. I wanted company. While the new grass blocks failed to spawn any new animals on its own, the very first tree I grew next to a flower spawned a beehive, which is just incredible because it's something like a 5% chance for it to happen. And I got it on my first try. Soon, I placed the very last block of this 100 days, and turned on shaders to take one last look at everything we had made. And with that, we reached day 400, and I have to say, what an adventure to get to this point. This is the part of the video where many of you are going to click off, so I'm going to end the video before I can.